in this concept of reducing deaths in our streets, but every time it comes to this budget debate about how much money we're going to invest in Vision Zero, we end up at zero. And so, and then we have to fight for every square inch of our districts and a couple of other members who are not here, because 14 people who died in the course of a year is completely unacceptable. For anyone and anywhere in this country, no one should have to die on their way to school. And so to me, thank you. So to me, the priorities of this council has to be, you can't get up and call a press conference and talk about how you're going to reduce deaths by 2025 and not really put the money behind that. And so for me, we started to push, we started to look at the high injury network. And I have, for example, I've got plenty of those in my district, but on Roscoe Boulevard, for example, it is the most dangerous, Van Nuys and Roscoe Boulevard in Panorama City is the most dangerous intersection in the entire San Fernando Valley. Because of the number of fatalities and the number of hit and misses and the number of people that have gotten into accidents there. So we began to do street reconstruction, restriping, left signal turns, sidewalk improvements. All of this adds to the notion that we need to complete our streets in order for people to get from point A to point B safely. So to me, the biggest hiccup every time we talk about Vision Zero is we can all pat ourselves on the back and say, yes, we are all champions for Vision Zero, but when are we going to get serious about funding it to the level that it should be so that we can stop having to report on another fatality in any of our districts? That's the real question.
I second Ms. Martinez's motion. Vision Zero. So I think she makes the point very, very clearly. And again, one of the biggest surprises with being on council was, I came in representing South LA. I've been an activist in South LA for all my adult life, and so you always think of gangs and homicides as the big public health crisis and issue that has to be confronted, and certainly that is an issue that has to be confronted. Little did I know that the traffic fatalities were competitive with gun violence, and depending on the month, the traffic fatalities can be higher. Like the 6th Council District in the Valley, we have some of the most dangerous corridors. The Western and Slauson, which most of you who are not from here have never heard of, and there's no reason why you would know it was there, is second only to Hollywood and Highland, which many of you probably do know about because that's where they have the Oscars every year. So that's the most tricky intersection in terms of injuries and deaths. Western and Slauson is second. It's in the middle of South LA. There's no reason for that. It just makes no sense. But the response, like how quickly we can get that dealt with, really, really lags. And one of the reasons it lags is because of funding and prioritizations. The city's always in a struggle there's always a struggle, sometimes spoken, sometimes unspoken, between the haves and the have-nots. There's also a battle between, are our investments designed to create financial return, or are they designed to create quality of life return? And we, all of us are constantly fighting for the quality of life of the residents of our districts who've never, at least not in our lifetimes, have gotten what they've deserved or gotten a return on the investments that they make in the city.
I certainly welcomed Vision Zero as a concept into my district when it was announced, because when I was elected back in 05-06, we were looking for traffic calming measures, as I mentioned, from people traveling from the east side into downtown and forgetting there's neighborhoods there. We were trying different ways of just coddling money and making things happen, but now there's a conceptual framework of what's possible to make our streets even safer. Now, as was mentioned, even though we've been trying to implement some of these ideas, it doesn't come without challenges. Earlier I mentioned the road diet we did on Colorado Boulevard in Iguapa. It was a real battle, so to speak, between communities who wanted the bike lanes and others who didn't. And although we talked about how we're going to put other traffic calming measures, such as pedestrian head start signals, curb extensions, flash signals, there was this real disdain for additional bike lanes because we're going to take a additional lane of traffic away. And so although we have these ideas that we know that can work, and we all have the same goal, which is to calm traffic down and make it safer, every major road drive we've tried to implement in our district coming from the east side has not gone without their battle. So it's been huge challenges, not only a funding issue, but also changing people's ideas about what's possible. But I think at the end of the day, we've all had the same goal in mind. It's just about how you go about it. But it's been some challenges to implement some of these ideas.
Thank you. I'd now like to change our focus to talk about transportation technology.